The candles flickered, fighting the draft swirling through the grand dining hall. Arden sat at the farthest end of the table, a place setting before her that looked untouched, not from neglect but from design. Her 18th birthday dinner had the warmth of a tax audit. Crystal glasses chimed, cutlery gleamed, and no one spoke to her. Magnus Rothwell, seated in his usual throne-like chair at the head, glanced at her with a dispassionate sneer. Then, without ceremony, he slid a crumpled $50 bill across the glossy table. It stopped in front of her like a final insult. "I've paid enough for another man's mistake," he said, voice as polished as his cufflinks. "You're on your own now." Aurelia's laugh was muffled by her wineglass. Lysandra, distant and gray-eyed, stared at her lap. Arden didn't blink, didn't flinch. She stood, walked calmly to Magnus, and placed a sealed envelope in front of him. No flourish, just finality. "I know," she said, "and he's outside." Across the table, a guest's phone tilted upward, recording. Magnus, suddenly rigid, turned toward the frost-rimmed window. His face blanched as he saw the shadowed figure near the gate. What kind of man fears a ghost showing up in daylight? 12-year-old Arden had once caught her mother crying into an embroidered handkerchief, her hands trembling as she slid a folded letter into the back of a picture frame. That moment, half seen through a cracked door, had stayed frozen in her mind, a private act of grief encrypted in silence. "If you ever feel truly alone," Lysandra had whispered that night, pulling her daughter close, "look behind the truth they gave you." That night, after the dinner, Arden slipped into her old room, ignoring the dried flowers and untouched yearbooks. She retrieved the frame from the dusty shelf, unfastened the backing, and unfolded the yellowing letter inside. Her breath caught. A name, a vault number, a code. The truth uncoiled like smoke. "You were not a mistake. You were my freedom." No tears, just the slow inhale of a girl realizing her life had been written by someone else's pen. The bank's exterior was bathed in sterile yellow light, half swallowed by winter fog. Arden's boots clicked softly against the tile as she slid the notarized access form under the glass. Inside the vault, the chill wasn't from temperature, but from time. All the years buried inside this metal box. The folder opened like a confession. A birth certificate listing Jace Merrick as her father. A USB drive labeled for her only. A thick ledger, pages of financial transfers and forged signatures, each one stabbing like a scalpel, the silent theft of a future. Arden sat in her car, engine off, watching Lysandra's face on the tiny screen. "Magnus never loved me. He owned me, but you he couldn't own. And that's what scared him." Her mother's voice cracked. "If you choose peace, walk away. But if you choose the truth, be ready to be hated." Arden whispered to the dark windshield. Sometimes forgiveness is knowing when to stop begging for it. Back at the Rothwell estate, frost had crusted the windshield of her car. Something glared red through the haze. A paper, taped to the glass in block letters. "Stop digging." Her tires were slashed. Neat, clean cuts. No panic. She took a photo, logged the time, noted the direction of tread marks in the snow. Inside, she said nothing. Not to Lysandra, not to Aurelia, not to the staff. In her notebook, she wrote, Threat 1. Garage. 10:42 p.m. SUV equals unknown. Check neighbor's camera. Then, a new message, sent from a burner phone. Line encrypted. Phase 1 confirmed. Activate the file drop. Every step would be recorded. Every light challenged in silence. If truth has no record, it can be erased. The path leading from the mansion's rear gate twisted like a scar through snow. Arden's coat hung tight against her frame, her fingers clenched inside wool gloves. The man waiting leaned against a black sedan, his breath visible in the air. No movement, just quiet waiting. Jace Merrick didn't smile. "I didn't stay away because I didn't care," he said. "I stayed away because I didn't win." His eyes, so unnervingly familiar, met hers like a mirror. "I'm not here for apologies," Arden answered. "I'm here for the truth. And if you're lying, I'll know." He nodded once, handed her a folder, thick with legal creases, the kind of truth that carries weight. "This is what he stole," Jay said. "From her. From you. From me." A curtain shifted in the upstairs window behind them. Arden didn't turn. "If they want a war," she said calmly, "they'll have to fight someone who finally knows where the weapons are." What would you do if your own family turned against you in front of a crowd? Would you walk away or dig deeper? You don't have to destroy someone to prove they destroyed you. Sometimes surviving with grace is the loudest rebellion. The frost on the Denver pavement cracked beneath Arden's heels as she stepped out of the cab, her coat drawn tight against her frame. Outside the grand glass atrium of the Windsor Hale Real Estate Gala, cameras flashed, laughter echoed, and crystal clinked behind high-gloss doors. She walked in without fanfare. No handler, no designer clutch, just precision in her posture and a glint of something unreadable in her eyes. The ballroom pulsed with soft jazz and sharper conversations. Arden moved like vapor through the crowd. Her dress was matte navy, clean lines, no distraction. She passed gold-cuffed men and silk-draped women, exchanging deals like wine refills. From the corner, Magnus Rothwell's voice boomed, a sound engineered to dominate any space. "Of course, we've streamlined family liabilities. You can't scale with deadweight," he chuckled, gesturing with a glass of bourbon. Arden stood a few feet behind him, face unreadable. Her reflection caught in the marble floor beneath the chandelier, fractured, split by the light. "They call it legacy," she whispered to herself. "I call it ledger." A camera shutter clicked from somewhere behind her. She didn't turn. Something about tonight was being documented, not just by her. Magnus stepped forward, raising a hand toward the stage. The jazz stilled. Lights dimmed, just enough to frame what came next. "Before we toast the next expansion," he began, voice tight, rehearsed, "I need to address something delicate." The screen behind him flared to life. Photos. Arden. Blurred angles from her birthday dinner, caught mid-turn, mid-exit. The $50 flash frozen in air. "This young woman has been struggling," Magnus continued. "Mental health, erratic behavior. We love her, of course. But she's not well. And it would be irresponsible to let confusion cloud contracts." Arden froze. The crowd didn't gasp, they shifted. Quiet as guilt. Contracts pulled back into briefcases. Smiles folded like paper. Arden stepped forward, face calm, eyes like glass before a storm. "Wealth built on lies," she said softly, "falls faster than brick." Aurelia's whisper hissed through the hush. "You saw nothing." A silence, heavier than accusation, sank into the room. Arden looked up at the screen. The ledger isn't the only thing he's written in blood. By morning, the city pulsed with headlines. Rothwell heiress disowned during gala. Real estate tycoon humiliates daughter. Social media reacts. Legacy or liability? Inside the Rothwell rift. The video, birthday night, Magnus' dismissal had been leaked. Uploaded by no one. Shared by everyone. Camera angles Arden hadn't seen, suggesting multiple sources. Her phone buzzed nonstop. She turned its screen down. Stocks dipped. Investors paused. The Rothwell name, once a monolith, now sounded like bad paper in a lobby whisper. That night, at her apartment, the knock came just past 11. A flat envelope. No return. Inside, a printed photo of her car. Slashed tires. The same night as the red-lettered threat. Below, scribbled, would have been you. She stared at it, not in fear, in certainty. Arden closed the door, double-locked it, placed the envelope in a plastic sleeve and logged it. She opened her notebook. Threat 2. Visual intimidation. Goal. Instill fear. Result. Confirmed surveillance. She didn't flinch, just whispered. Light hurts those who lived in shadows. Next morning, she walked into the offices of Eleanor Vance, her attorney of record. A conference room. Closed blinds. Arden opened a folder of documents, trust filings, financial transfers, notarized revisions. Dates didn't match. Names were misspelled. Her own birth certificate photocopied and altered. She held up a clause. Any child born prior to 2005 shall be excluded from estate succession. Her original document, official seal intact, said 2004. Lies hide in the footnotes, she murmured. A voice from memory, soft and maternal. She hit record on her phone, began reading the clause aloud. A trail of evidence, clean and irreversible. Then she dialed. Jace's voicemail picked up. If you value truth more than safety, she said into the silence, open your eyes. She ended the call, placed a certified copy of everything into a priority mail envelope, and addressed it to a journalist she trusted. Included a letter. If anything happens to me, this goes public. Back home, she set a timer on her laptop. 72 hours. Automatic upload to a secure press list. Then she waited. Snow fell beyond the kitchen window. Arden sat at her tiny table, hands folded, candle burning low beside her mother's photograph. She scribbled, They sold love for ledger. I choose truth over debt. She lit a second candle, closed her eyes. You gave me life, she whispered to Lysandra's picture. I'll repay you by living in truth. No more running. No more asking to be believed. The armor wasn't rage. It was clarity. She zipped up her coat and stepped out into the quiet street, the wind biting like warning. Her phone buzzed once. Unknown number. A message. Time-stamped 24 hours ahead. Ready to sign or ready to fight. Arden smiled without mirth. Let the vault crack. The courthouse loomed like a tomb for secrets. Winter clung to its stone skin as Arden stepped through the front doors, binder clutched like a weapon. Her breath fogged the air, but her hands were steady. Inside, the courtroom buzzed, tight suits tapping pens, sidelong glances. The clerk called the docket. Arden rose. Exhibits were laid out. Forged trust signatures, offshore transfers tied to Magnus' name, screenshots of threats, footage of a dark SUV outside her home. The prosecutor read each aloud. Gasps snapped like dry twigs. Magnus on the stand smirked at first, but with each document revealed, the smirk melted into tension. A video played, Arden's tire slashed, timestamp matching the anonymous threat. The jury leaned forward. Magnus stiffened. Arden stood. Her voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. Truth isn't what you write on paper, she said. It's what you can't erase from people's lives. The jury retired. Minutes dragged. The gallery, investors, press, bystanders murmured behind hands. Arden sat still, eyes fixed forward. Then the verdict. Guilty on all counts. Fraud, coercion, tampering. Restitution awarded to Arden Vale. Immediate asset freeze. She closed her eyes. A breath. One tear slipped, not from sadness, from release. She didn't look at Magnus. She didn't need to. 2 days later, under spring sun breaking winter's back, Arden signed the final documents. 10 properties, a derelict block of historic homes, an old storefront, 27 million wired in silence. She walked down Vale Street, a name once foreign, now hers. Flashback, Lysandra tucking her in at 5, whispering, "One day we'll own a street." She ran her fingers along chipped wood on the porch of the largest house. "This is for you, Mom," she murmured. A red sold sign clacked in the breeze. Below it, Arden Vale owner. Night fell. The courthouse lights glowed faintly as cameras gathered outside. Arden stepped through a side door, coat folded over her arm. A figure approached from the shadows. Magnus. He held a folder. Pale, unshaven, shaking. "I'm sorry," he rasped. "I was afraid, but I never wanted you gone." "You wanted silence," she replied. "I wanted truth. Fear doesn't excuse harm." He opened the folder, a death certificate. Lysandra's. Next to it, a dated note in Magnus' handwriting. A bribe for silence. He had paid to list her cause of death as natural when it had not been. Arden stepped back. No shock, just confirmation. "I didn't aim to break you," she said quietly, handing him a signed release clause. "I aimed to close the book." She turned. Cameras flashed. Magnus collapsed against the wall, folder slipping from his grip. She didn't turn back. At dawn, Arden stood on the block she now owned. Houses slept under tarp and dust. Birds stirred. She opened the first front door. Light sliced across the floorboards. Workers arrived. Trucks. Paint. Nails. Life. A week later, a single mother and her son walked through a restored foyer. Arden handed her a brass key. "No rent," she said. "Just promise me no fear in this house." Later, under a bare oak tree in the center of the block, Jace Merrick stood, hands in pockets. Arden walked up. No hugs, just eyes meeting eyes. "I'm not asking for family," she said. "I'm offering a seat. With conditions." "Understood," he replied. She offered half a smile. "Family isn't inherited. It's chosen. And I choose life, not lies."